Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Combat Logic. Today I want to talk about UFC Vegas 49, where Islam Makhachev fights Bobby Green in the main event of the evening. Now, as we all know, number three ranked Beneil Dariush fell out probably 2 weeks ago and was replaced by Bobby Green on short notice. I just want to go over what Bobby Green has done recently. So he lost a very close, even controversial decision to Drakkar Klose back in December of 2018. He then retired before coming back about a year later, losing another close decision to Francisco Trinaldo. He then went on a three-fight win streak in 2020, finishing off the year losing a unanimous decision to Thiago Moises that I thought he won. So he could have went 4-0 in 2020 very handily. And then he lost his next fight to Rafael Fiziev, who, again, very close fight, world champion kickboxer that he kept up with on the feet. It was incredibly impressive. And then he knocks out Ali Quinta and then beats Nasrat Haqparast earlier this month. And 2 weeks after that, he fights Islam Makhachev, who really everybody sees as a future champion. Islam has lost one time. He was in his early 20s when that happened. He is 21-1. He went 3-0 last year with all finishes. Like, if there's one critique people had about Islam Makhachev, it's that he was boring. It's that he wasn't a finisher. Well, he came back and submitted Drew Dober with an arm triangle choke in the third round in March of last year. He submitted Thiago Moises in round 4 with a rear naked choke, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt that had never been finished before. And then he just submitted Dan Hooker with a Kimura in the first round in October. So it's super, super unfortunate that we're not seeing him fight Beneil Dariush, because first, when he was fighting Dan Hooker, we were supposed to see him fight former champion Rafael dos Anjos. That would have been a really, really wicked fight. Well, Dos Anjos fell out and was replaced by Hooker. Then Beneil Dariush is his opponent, and he falls out, and now he's replaced by Bobby Green. So the thing is, he was saying that he wanted a title shot, that he deserved a title shot. And considering who is getting the title shot is on a 1-fight win streak, and Islam is on a 9-fight win streak, I don't blame him for feeling that way. But he keeps having opponents fall out on him. Like Rafael dos Anjos, top 10 guy, fell out. He fought a guy that I think Hooker was probably ranked in the lower half of the top 10 at that point. And then Beneil Dariush, number 3, and he falls out too. Now he's fighting another unranked guy. And it's super unfortunate to see, because if he wins this fight, he'll be on a 10-fight win streak. Does he get a title shot? I probably shouldn't, right? He hasn't beat a top 5 guy, even though he can beat all of them. He hasn't, and it's very sad to see. But something I want to say about this is, don't count Bobby Green out. Do not count Bobby Green out. He's a good defensive wrestler. I don't believe me. I don't think he's going to stop Islam's takedowns, but he is worlds above Islam striking. Islam striking has gotten much better, but Bobby Green is an elite level striker. Like, the dude went 3 rounds with Rafael Fiziev and arguably won. Like, that's all you need to know about that. Misha Serkinov is forming the second middleweight bout this weekend against Wellington Turman. This is an interesting fight. Misha Serkinov is a really, really elite grappler, but he's been knocked out a good amount in his defeats. Yeah, he is 2-5 in his last 7 fights, and he's been knocked out in 4 of those 5 defeats. Wellington Turman is, 2-3 in his last 5, and 2-3 in the UFC. His last win is a split decision over Sam Alvey. It was a pretty close fight, and prior to that, he got KO'd by Andrew Sanchez and Bruno Silva in back-to-back fights. So I really don't know how this one's going to go. I would love to see Misha submit him, but Wellington's a really good grappler too. So that should be interesting. Ji Yeon Kim is fighting Priscilla Kochea, which is an interesting fight. Now, Kim is 1-3 in her last 4. Wow. And that one win was a vicious knockout. And Priscilla Kochea is 2-4 in the UFC, but she started out her UFC tenure with an 8-0 record. She fought Valentina Shevchenko in her first UFC fight, if that says anything. She then lost her next two straight, falling from 8-0 to 8-3. She then won her next two fights by knockout before being submitted by Jillian Robertson in a fight she was doing pretty well in. And Jillian is a tank. She really is. She's such a good fighter. There's no shame in being submitted by her. That should be interesting. Arman Saryukin and Yoel Alvarez. Man, I'm probably more excited for this fight than any of them. Like, these guys are both straight up prodigies. Now, Joel Alvarez came to the UFC with a record of 15-1. He lost to Damir Ismagulov, who is an M1 champion. Lost a unanimous decision to him. Since then, he's gone on a 4-fight win streak and a 4-fight finish streak. With the last three, he submitted Joseph Duffy, who was the second person to beat Conor McGregor, I believe. He's either first or second. I'm pretty sure he was the second. He submitted Alexander Yakovlev, who Damian Maia couldn't submit through 3 rounds. Yoel Alvarez submitted him in the first round. And he also knocked out Thiago Moises, becoming the second man to finish him, following Islam Makhachev. That brought his record to 19-2. And believe it or not, 16 of those wins are submissions. 3 of them are knockouts. He has finished every single one of his wins. And Arman Saryukin is about as much of a prodigy as we can have. He made his UFC debut with a record of 13-1, as he came over as a champion as well. And he lost to Islam Makhachev, which was a pretty competitive contest. He took Islam down. He won a round against him. And that was his UFC debut. Since then, he has gone on a 4-fight win streak, but finishes have evaded him until his last fight, where he was able to TKO Christos Giagos in the first round. Next up, we got a couple more here. We got on the prelims, Terrence McKinney is fighting Fares Ziam. Now, Ziam is a kickboxer. He's a very good kickboxer. He's 12-3 as a professional. He has won his last 2 straight inside the octagon. And Terrence McKinney is 11-3. And this dude, man, I want to go over some of his finishes really quick. All right. So, starting off with his first fight, first round rear naked choke, 2:15 into the first round. Second fight, rear naked choke win at 1:23 of round 1. Third one, armbar of 1:39 of round 1. See, we really didn't know he had submissions, and he even got a heel hook finish in the third round in his next fight, improving him to 4-0. So after suffering his first defeat, he got a 7-second knockout. He got another rear naked choke at 2:57 of round 1. He got another rear naked choke at 43 seconds of round 1. He then lost his next 2 straight to both to guys that are in the UFC, Sean Woodson and Derek Minner, though they were outside the promotion at the point. And his next win, 16 seconds of round 1 by knockout. His next win, 17 seconds into round 1 by knockout. Next, 1:12 into round 1 by knockout, which brings us up to his last fight, where he knocked out Matt Frabola in 7 seconds of his UFC debut, for giving us one of the most impressive UFC debuts we have seen. So, as you see, he has 1 win that has evaded round 1, and that was the heel hook in his 4th fight. He's also a successful amateur. That's going to be a good fight. And the last one I'm going to talk about is Alejandro Perez and Jonathan Martinez. Now, Perez had taken a while off after getting knocked out by Song Yadong in the summer of 2019. He came back in October to submit Johnny Eduardo, which was pretty impressive because we haven't seen much of Eduardo, but he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and anytime you see a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt getting submitted by someone who's not ranked in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is pretty impressive. And then Jonathan Martinez, this kid is just so technical. He's so talented. He does everything so well. He's got really beautiful knees up the middle. He's got good leg kicks. His shot selection is good. He's not the most powerful, though. Most of his wins do come by knockout. Yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to that one. We don't have the biggest card this weekend, but we got to, good fights usually come out of smaller cards. If you're a real fan, you know that. And Bellator 275 is going down tonight with Gegard Mousasi aiming to defend his Bellator middleweight championship against the undefeated Austin Vanderford. All right, so Gegard is really, he's one of the best fighters ever. Let's see, he went 12-1 as an amateur boxer. He went 8-0 as a professional kickboxer, and he is 48-7-2 as a mixed martial artist, which is just astounding. Not what's more is he has victories over 3 of the last 4 guys to defeat him. And the last one, here, well, we'll get to that in a minute. So he finally came to the UFC as a multi-time champion, a Dream champion, a Strikeforce champion, a Cage Warriors champion, and in multiple weight classes at middleweight and light heavyweight. Well, he made his UFC debut against Ilir Latifi. He was supposed to fight Alexander Gustafsson, which would have been such a sick fight. But he ended up fighting Gustafsson's teammate as Gustafsson was injured, and he won a unanimous decision against him. Well, he lost to Lyoto Machida, the former light heavyweight champ, in his next fight before submitting Mark Munoz. He was then mauled and submitted by Jacare Souza, who he had previously KO'd in their first fight. Well, he knocked out Dan Henderson and then beat Costa Philippou after that. And then he was knocked out by Uriah Hall, who he was absolutely mauling. But Hall, as we know, is one of those guys that can put literally anybody's lights out on any given night. As we see, oftentimes it doesn't go that way, but Hall is one of the more dangerous talents in the sport today. And since then, he has lost 1 time. Let's see, that is 11-1 in his last 12. His only defeat coming via majority decision to Rafael Lovato Jr. And we weren't able to see that rematch because of Lovato's medical issues forced him to retire after winning the Bellator title. That's such a beautiful story. I wrote an article on it. I'll put it in the link description below if you like to read it. It's the career of Rafael Lovato Jr. But nonetheless, that was a title fight that he lost his title in. He won it against Rafael Carvalho, and then defended it against Rory McDonald, who was the Bellator welterweight champion at the time. And what's more, he beat Alexander Shlemenko, a multi-time world champion, in his Bellator debut. Prior to that, he'd beaten Chris Weidman. He beat Uriah Hall in their rematch, knocked him out. Vitor Belfort, Thiago Santos, like, he beat so many great fighters. And since losing to Lovato, he beat Machida in their rematch. And then he beat another Bellator welterweight champion in Douglas Lima to win the vacant middleweight title, as Lovato was forced to vacate it. And he defended it against John Salter via TKO in the 3rd round in his last fight. So if history repeats itself, he may lose tonight because he won the Bellator title, then defended it and lost it. He won the Bellator title and he defended it. Will he defend it again, or will he lose it? One thing I have to say, if there is a kryptonite, actually there's 2 kryptonites that Gegard Mousasi has. One is that sometimes he doesn't show up. I feel like he's not quite as motivated as he once was, having almost 60 fights into his career. The next kryptonite that he's had is big, strong wrestlers, and that is exactly what Austin Vanderford is. Though he's only 11-0, he has dominated literally everybody he's fought. And he has a good chance at beating one of the best ever tonight and becoming a world champion himself. I really can't wait for this one. This is going to be such a great fight. I'm so glad Bellator finally put these 2 together. Like, Gegard or Vanderford, the winner of this fight needs to fight Anatoly Tokov. I think it's about time he gets his title shot too. But, man, this is such a great one. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you soon.